marry me? I knew that their opinion was that I should go down on my own knees and thank God for such a break. And the odd thing about it was, they kept to that same opinion for years, right up to the day he was exposed in court as a sadist, a man who would stop at nothing to gain his ends, which were to bring into this house the woman he had been living with on the side for years, and the children he had given her. He had even gone as far as to consider murder. The stair rods hadn't become loose on their own. But why did I stand such treatment? The simple answer is, this house. It was all I had in those days, that and my dog. Still, that was all in the past, for on this day I was to be married to my Nardy. Nardy is an abbreviation of Leonard. It sounds silly, but I loved it. And him. Oh, yes, how I loved him. At the thought, I put my good arm tightly around my waist and hugged myself, then sat back in the chair and closed my eyes. Was I really going to walk up the aisle of a church on the arm of George and be married to my loved one by a minister? Yes, I was. The Reverend Hobson was a very understanding man. The two previous ministers whom we'd approached hadn't been so. I was a divorced woman, and being the innocent party cut no ice. Strangely, I didn't feel a woman at all. I felt a girl, and I was a girl, because I was in love for the first time in my life. I was really happy for the first time in my life. Of course, Father Mackin had been round. He had looked at me ruefully, raised his eyebrows and said, "You are aware that me hands are tied?" And I'd said, "Yes, Father, I'm sorry." And he'd answered, "You're not a bit sorry." But he'd smiled as he'd said it, and he wished me happiness. I liked him. I liked Father Mackin. "Are you coming for your breakfast, lass? They've nearly all finished. You don't want to collapse in the aisle, do you? If you do, they'll have to stick you on that horse and get you up there, eh?" Gran's laughter filled the room, and the hallway where she stood with the door in her hand, her wrinkled, ageless face abeam. She stepped further into the room as I rose from the desk, and her head on one side she said, "We never hear of him these days, do we, your Hamilton?" "No." I went up to her and took her hand, and as we walked from the room I said, "No, we don't, do we? But he's still there, ready to gallop all over you, and don't you forget it." I pulled her arm tighter into my side, and we looked at each other, and our exchanged glances held feelings we couldn't put into words. George was crossing the hall, his big face red and shining. He thumbed over his shoulder while saying, "That lot in there, pig, guts, hog and artful, that's what they are. I've never seen so much grub shovelled away. You thought I could eat when I was a lad, but 2 of that 4 are females." And to this Gran answered as she now walked past him, "Well, you took them on." I looked at George and shook my head, indicating that he should make no retort. Gran always got a dig in when she could about her only son saddling himself with a woman who already had 4 bairns. Yet she was fond of Mary, at least they didn't quarrel. At the same time, though, she didn't look upon Mary's children as real grandchildren, because they had not come through her son.
"She never lets up, does she?"
George was bending down to me now, whispering,
"One of these days I'll come back at her, I will." "Where's Mary?"
"She's upstairs making the beds, and you must never do that. Come back at her."
"No, I know. Anyway, lass."
His face went into a big beam.
"It's come, your wedding day."
He caught hold of both my hands now and drew me towards him, and I looked up at this man, the only person who had brought any brightness into my childhood days. I'd loved him dearly. I still did.
"And getting a grand fellow, the best in the world. The only thing is—"
His voice changed and he straightened up.
"What the hell am I going to look like in that grey rig?"